as we continue our seemingly endless wait for Capcom to show us what we actually want from the Resident Evil franchise. Let's break down some of the most highly requested remakes in this beloved series. Let's start off with a home run for one of, if not the, most wanted remakes, Code Veronica. Having such essential story elements involving Chris, Claire, and Wesker still makes it wild from a story standpoint that it was skipped over for Resident Evil 4's remake. I understand, Resident Evil 4 remake was a lock to sell more overall, I get it. But the fact that Code Veronica still isn't next, with rumors of Resident Evil 0 being prioritized instead, only makes its absence more frustrating. It still sometimes feels like Capcom is just throwing darts at a dartboard to decide what comes next. Resident Evil 8 remake? Sure, why the hell not? That said, it's still a near certainty that Code Veronica will get its turn eventually. However, given its longer runtime and the need for almost all new assets, unlike Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes which shared resources, it makes sense that the development could take a while longer. The longer Capcom waits though, the higher expectations will rise. If it ends up half-assed like that of the Resident Evil 3 remake, fans will be furious until we all inevitably buy whatever Resident Evil dish they serve anyways, making us the fool in the end. Only minusing a point because Capcom keeps hitting the skip button. Outbreak is the spin-off game set in the timeline of Resident Evil 2 and 3 in Raccoon City. It takes a bunch of random unknown characters and drops each player into either an offline single-player or 4-player online co-op mode, having up to 5 different campaign scenarios. This game is quite brilliant in the fact that it takes random people, both online and in-game characters, into a hot mess of a zombie outbreak. If you think of the most basic of premises for a zombie experience, an outbreak in a large city is a great starting point, and testing out your skills for survival coupled with the greatness that Resident Evil brings to the table in enemies, lore, gameplay, and more, you have a recipe for something very special. This was an entry that should have accomplished so much more than it actually did. It did do enough to warrant a sequel, but not enough to garner attention and reception like a mainline entry typically would. It deserves better, even if our remake version of this had to incorporate a cameo or cram some mainline characters into it to get more attention towards it. It could turn out to be one hell of a great remake. A modern version of this game makes so much sense to do now, but I have the feeling this will remain an obscure couple entries in the franchise that may be left for dead by Capcom. I could see something similar being utilized for an entirely new spin-off Resident Evil game. A straight-up remake probably isn't in the cards unless after Capcom finishes every mainline remake they start the more obscure entries. For now, the best bet would be for you to vote on GOG's wishlist to bring these games back. They already have the original trilogy available, but bringing more attention to these 2 games in particular might at least get us a decent modern port that works flawlessly with modern technology. Resident Evil 5 was a massive hit, best known for its co-op gameplay, which built upon Resident Evil 4's action-heavy, newly made formula. The biggest question is, how does Capcom handle this in the remake timeline, where things have taken a darker, more horror-centric tone? Co-op undeniably undercuts the horror experience, but it was also key to Resident Evil 5's success. Could there be separate single-player and co-op versions within the game? Asking co-op to be removed entirely seems a bridge too far, but also seems like a requirement to make it more of a horror game. Where this game may depart from the remakes as we know them so far, is that it won't be able to stop being an action horror game, even if it wanted to. This remake still seems inevitable, but with where things currently stand, seems quite a ways out from appearing anytime soon. I had to do it. Getting the OG a second remake with modern remake controls just seems so awesome. Personal opinion, I just want this more than any other remake because it's the epitome of Resident Evil. The madhouse of the original horror incident. Yes, it has a remake already that's incredibly good, but that iteration would still exist and can be played whenever you want. Let us get this third iteration to experience its beauty with a modern coat of paint. I would have put this higher, and I have been until more recently, but it seems as though with 0 being next, and you have to assume Code Veronica and 5 are in development, it's really hard to picture this coming out anytime soon. Capcom, even with all their development divisions, still is limited to how many projects at a given time they can handle. This might be a thing 5 to 10 years from now, more than a 2026 anniversary release like I had hoped for. Question for those still watching, would you rather have had this or Resident Evil Zero's remake that we're likely getting instead? I can't not mention this game, even on the Resident Evil wishlist, because it is damn near literally Resident Evil plus dinosaurs. Seriously, damn near everyone loves dinosaurs. Hell, Jurassic Park 16 is still destroying the box office because you know what? Everyone loves dinosaurs. Common sense here for everyone not named Capcom. To compound the issue, they literally have the engine, the gameplay mechanics for the most part, a lot of assets from Resident Evil that they could borrow from, and yet it's still too risky for them to make. The last Dino Crisis installment, a bizarre sci-fi themed sequel, seemingly killed the franchise. At this point, if we're going to see a new Dino Crisis, it'll probably have to come from another studio making a spiritual successor, which largely has been and is true. Seems like the franchise is lost to time, Capcom seemingly wanting to let it die despite the large vocal uproar from fans. I didn't mention Resident Evil 0 because its remake is already well on its way, and there isn't the same vocal demand for it as there is for Code Veronica and other entries shown in this video. Other Resident Evil entries were left out simply because they are too unlikely to get remade in the foreseeable future. What game is in need of a remake that wasn't on this list that you feel should have been? Also, which one are you most looking forward to? Let me know down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching. If you like the content, be sure to hit the subscribe and like buttons on your way out. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time on Hittobox.